All right, let's get started. Thanks for coming. If this is your first time with us, this is the Athletic Development Program. And my name is Coach Sierra. If you guys ever have any questions throughout this, just feel free to unmute yourselves and you can interrupt me. That's totally fine. You can ask a question or any comments that you might have too. So today our topic is creating your own workout. So we're going to establish goals depending on what position you play. And then we're going to work on how to create your own workout. And from these kind of basic steps that we're going to go through, you can create not only just one workout, but ultimately, if you have a goal to create multiple, you'll be able to create an exercise plan from that. So a few things that we'll require is to have you turn your camera on because we're going to have some time where you can share. And then you're going to need something to write with, something to write on. If you have your phone or something, that's fine too, to be able to type. And then I just wrote some obstacles or some things like weights and stuff that you can use during this. So let's go ahead. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. Okay. So we're going to go over, just if you haven't been part of our past videos, or if you've watched some of the videos, we're going to go through a little bit of an overlap here. So these are a few things that should be included in your workout. I'll just put them all up on the screen here. So the times, I'll talk more about that, the times of how long you're going to work out, and then the reps, or how many times you're going to do an exercise. And then lastly, the rest and the times of rest, how many rests you have, and then how long they should be. Next one, the demands of the game. So we talked a lot about this in our last presentation, and we went more in depth of the different demands of the game. So speed and agility, endurance, strength, balance, and coordination. And we'll talk a little bit more about these as we get to those pieces of the workout. So before I get started on each piece, I just want to put up an example workout here just to show you kind of what we're looking for when we end up finishing building the workout. So of course, every workout should start with a warm-up. We've got the amount of time that it's going to last for. We've got the actual exercise. We have the rest component in there. We have how many times we're going to do it. Okay, so just like the previous page, we have those components. Next one, we have a balance exercise. We have how many we're going to do, the exercise, and then how many times we're going to do it. And of course, we have rest in there. Okay, so we have our goal, balance, warm up. Next one is agility, same thing. How much time, what the exercise is, and how many times we're going to complete it. So this is what your workout will look like depending on what your goals are. So I chose these 3 goals for this workout. And then of course at the end of every workout, make sure you get in a cool down. The cool down doesn't need to be as specified. Okay, so for this age group, I just want you guys to, if you haven't already, to be able to see the position profiles as outlined by US Soccer. So this is how we're going to work on establishing your goals. So most of you at this age group should have kind of a position or two that you play most of your time at. So this is what you're going to want to look at. This resource is from US Soccer. So if you guys ever want to look these up, you can probably just look up US Soccer position profiles on Google, and it should show you some stuff. So this is pretty much how US Soccer breaks it down. They have each position here in gray. Oops, didn't mean to do that. In gray, it'll say what position it is and the number. And then it has top 3 technical, tactical, physical, and mental demands of the game. So these are what US Soccer thinks that position in specific should excel at. So first one is goalkeeper, the number one. When we look at this, because this is athletic development, we're going to look at just the red, pink box. Okay, this is the P for physical. So for goalkeeper, the three are power, acceleration, and explosive movement is one. The second one is aerial mobility to maximize height and reach, and then maximal speed of reaction. So goalkeeper is unique in that way where reaction time as that third one is an additional demand of the game that I didn't include before. Second one would be that aerial mobility. We're looking at more power, being able to jump, and that's mainly for headers, it sounds like. And then the power, acceleration, and explosive movement is being able to react to maybe a forward running at you, being able to react on the spot to do diving and stuff like that would be that power and acceleration. So we're going to go through these for each position. Feel free to either take a screenshot or jot these down when we get to your position. For the 4s and 5s, our center backs, we've got top 3 demands are aerial maximum use of height and explosive movement. We've got, again, reaction time, speed to be able to adjust to the ball and the opponent's movement, and then agility, change in direction in response to cues. So when we look at agility versus speed on our first slide, agility would be that side-to-side, backwards movement, and speed would be that forward movement. And we're going to see in further positions that one of the demands is forward speed. Okay. Next one we've got is the 2s and the 3s, our outside backs. Looking at this same box, we see for those 3, it's speed endurance. So being able to run at top speed and rest, and then be able to go again over and over and over for the amount of time that you're on the field. Acceleration, the change in speed into response to the ball, and then endurance, box-to-box range for full match. So when we look at our 2s and our 3s, they're going to be similar to our 7 and our 11s. So that endurance piece of being able to make those long sprints and be able to maintain that speed and that distance multiple times over the game, over and over and over again. So we're going to talk about ways to be able to train that type of endurance. One thing to think about is just how this type of endurance is a lot different than a type of endurance where maybe a cross-country runner would train endurance, where they're just running and they don't rest at all and they go maybe at a similar pace the whole time. A soccer player needs to have that stop and go, being able to sprint box to box, rest, and then sprint that same distance at a high speed. Next ones, our center midfielders, our 6s and our 8s. The top 3 demands are mobility, that multi-directional box-to-box, and centrally, I would also call that agility. Speed endurance, that same being able to make that high-speed sprints over and over, and then explosive movement, max acceleration. So when you think about a 6 and an 8, in the middle, our central players are more multi-directional, as it says in the first point. So being able to move in every direction with that max acceleration is really important. Okay, then they have a separate one for our 10. A few different ones are explosive movement, being able to separate from the opponent. So now we're getting into the attacking side of it, and it's not reactive. 2, we're looking at acceleration, change in direction or change in speed, and then we're going into shooting. So strength for shooting from a distance and challenging for the ball. So we've got strength for upper body and lower body when we look at challenging for the ball as well. If you need to write any of these down, screenshot them, I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, on to our 7s and our 11s. Similar to our 2s and 3s. First one is that speed endurance again, the acceleration with and without the ball, and then agility is the efficiency in changing direction. So notice how a lot of these are kind of worded similarly, but there's small things that make them different. So when we look at acceleration with and without the ball, I want you to think about acceleration can be trained not necessarily through long sprints, but having that change in direction or short sprints, say if you're running killers, those first few are usually a shorter sprint where you have to turn. That split second between when you hit the line and you turn, that push off, those first 2 push offs off the ground would be your acceleration speed. So the stronger you work your lower body, the more strength you have in your lower body, the more acceleration you're going to be able to get. So that's kind of how strength training can reflect in getting that performance gain. All right, so then lastly, the number 9. The number 9's 3 demands are speed, endurance. Again, that one's kind of showing up in all positions because, like I said, soccer is a stop and go game, so that makes sense. Second one is strength to compete for possessions, and then explosive movement to compete for aerial service. So headers, volleys, being able to get to the ball out of the air. Okay, any questions on any of those? Questions, comments? Nothing? Okay. All right, so now that we have 3 components of a program, so depending on your position or your positions, you should have up to 3 to 5 things that your goal is based on. So having goals in each of those segments based on your position is how we're going to build this. So we're going to look a little bit broader here. So when we're looking at how long the workout should be, I want you to think broader in terms of the length of your game. So most of your games are going to be 90 minutes or close to. And then I want you to think how long you normally play during the game. So we're not going to work out for 90 minutes because we rarely play for the full 90 minutes. Okay, if you are a position that does play the 90 minutes, the goalkeeper, the maybe a center back, center mids, you don't necessarily need to train for 90 minutes because in a soccer game, you're not going for a constant 90. You get halftime, there's stoppage time. There's time in there where you will have rest. So we'll kind of estimate how long the game would go and then train from there. Each exercise should last a little bit longer than the activity that you would do during your game. So if in my next example, I have where a player plays 15-minute rotations during a game. So if you know that you're going to go on the field and you're going to play for that 15-minute rotation, I would train for a little bit longer than that. So maybe 20 to 25 minutes. So that way, when you actually go onto the field and you're only playing that 15, you have that much more to give because you're used to playing 25, if that makes sense. And then that should be repeated because you're going to play maybe 15 in one half, 15 in the other. So this is an example just to kind of wrap that up to explain. So if I'm playing 15-minute rotations during each game, I'm going to train for around 25 minutes so I can gain that extra endurance to play 100% for all of the length of 15 minutes in my game. When I work on sprints, I will do sprints that are half field because, say, I play the 7 and 11, and that's the length of most of my sprints in my game. So I'm relating my workout back to what I normally do in the game. And then because soccer is a stop and go game, when I work on my strength, I'll add in endurance here, balance, and agility, I will do high intensity exercise for a minute or under, and then rest and repeat. Okay, so again, you're probably getting the theme here. I'm trying to replicate as close as possible what my body and my heart rate and my muscles would be going through in an actual game scenario. Any questions on that example or those pieces? All right. Get ready. I want some people to share soon here. This one is kind of just my motivational piece. How difficult should your workout be? So every workout, when we're making it in that 25 to 30 plus minute range, is going to give you some endurance work as long as you're keeping your heart rate up. So when we look at how difficult your workout should be, that's when we talk about if our exercise is burpees. If I do one burpee and then rest for 30 seconds, I'm not putting maximal effort into that exercise. So I might want to do 15 burpees. That sounds difficult enough. I'll do 15 burpees, then I'll rest for 30 seconds, and then I'll do 15 more. I'm putting 100% into that. Lastly, I just want to mention that the speed or amount of the exercise may change. So if I'm going to do 15 burpees, the first time I do it, I might be able to get that done in 30 seconds. And then the second time I do it, I'm still putting in as much effort as I have, but I might be able to only do that in 45 seconds. Okay, so you're going to be slowing down throughout, but you can still give 100% of whatever you have left. Okay, and when we look at endurance training, just a little bit of an explanation about that is when we look at endurance training and we're improving our endurance, we're improving our ability to be able to stay closer to that max effort. So if I know that my max effort is I can do 15 burpees in 30 seconds, my endurance training is going to help me stay close to that 30 seconds every time I repeat it. All right, so this is where you can start writing or typing, however you want to do it, to create your exercise plan. And for each of these, I'm going to have someone share what they put together for each component of the workout. So I'll give you some time after I'm done explaining each component to write down or type up whatever it is that you created as your exercise. Then I'll have some people share. So to start off the exercise, or to start off the workout, just like in the example, we're going to go to a warm-up. So the goal of the warm-up is to increase your heart rate, flexibility, and your ready mentality. So increasing heart rate, anything that gets you moving is going to increase your heart rate. I know for my team, I like to just have them go on a jog. So jog down and back on the field. That's an easy thing that increases your heart rate. Then increasing flexibility, upper body, you could do arm swings, lower body, any sort of stretching. And then your ready mentality is anything that's going to get you focused and hyped up, ready for the game. A lot of teams I've seen right before the game, you do a few sprints. Okay, that's mainly to get your ready mentality going. Okay, so each of you make 3 exercises. If you don't get to 3, that's okay. At least make 1 exercise that either, if you can make 3, make sure that they have all 3 of these together. It is possible to have all 3 of these in 1 exercise. Use your imagination, see if you can get it all combined in 1. Otherwise, just create a quick warm up. Include the reps. So if I say, okay, we're going to do jumping jacks, tell me how many jumping jacks or how long I'm going to do jumping jacks for. Okay. And I want them to all work towards that goal. So I'll give you like a minute, and then I'm going to call on people to share. So you can go ahead and start creating. All right. Hopefully we all came up with something. Does anyone want to share? Anyone volunteer to share with us? It could even be something that your team maybe does as a warm-up. That's okay. It doesn't have to be something that you completely made up. How about Alyssa? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I had do as many jumping jacks as you can in 30 seconds. 5 Frankies each side, arm swings like 10, and then cherry pickers. And then if we were doing another one, just jog down to the half and back.
Okay. So good. That included the increasing your heart rate, definitely, with the jumping jacks and the cherry pickers too. And then Frankenstein kicks, arm swings for the flexibility. Good. Nice. Good work. So if yours sounded anything like Alyssa's with the time, the reps, and then the exercise with that, with those specific goals that are being met. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next one. Be sure to just save these in each segment, because by the end of this, you're going to have a full workout. And I want you, between our meetings, to be able to try that workout that you did and see what works for you. Okay. Next one, speed and agility. So again, every time we get to a new slide, just think about your player profile and what your demands were. So the goal of speed and agility work is to increase the player's ability to cover space on the field with or without the ball in any direction quickly. Okay, so I like trying to give an example of each one of these so you guys kind of know what I'm looking for here. So for this one, let's say if I am a 10, I played 10, and I want to work on my ability to cut sideways on the field. Okay, so maybe I'm good, I'm fast, I'm a fast sprinter, I can sprint forward, but I want to work on my ability to cover ground side to side, whether that's for defensive or whether that's for offensive. We can get into that later. But I want to be able to cover side to side. So maybe I'm going to do things like cone drills where I'm doing high knees side to side, or I'm doing different patterns like a snaking pattern with quick feet. Those would be two examples that I'm working on, being able to do agility side to side. You could add in other things like balance and strength if you wanted to do it single leg. Those are different just additions that you could try. Other things that you could do would be like shuffling. Yeah, I'm starting to think about it now. You guys create, try to create 3 exercises. I know a minute is kind of a short time, but try to create 3 exercises. And then when somebody shares, I want you to relate it back to what position you play. So relate it back to why you're doing it or what your goal is. All right. Go ahead. We'll do like 45 seconds, a minute. Okay, and time. Whoops, did I go forward? I did. Okay. Does anyone want to share?
I can share.
Okay, awesome.
So I had ladders, like a ladder and then doing different combinations to help you like move quickly, and then a square drill, which you would need another person, but like have them call like a number for each cone, and then if when they call the number, you go to a certain one, and then a figure eight drill, which is where you have cones set up and you have to do like a figure eight and like a certain movement around it quickly.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So could you share the maybe amount of, if you've done it before or just thinking about doing it, the amount of reps that you would do? That includes if you were going to do it for a certain amount of time, and then how gains in that would reflect to your position.
Yeah, so for the square drill, I'm an 8, and then so like moving side to side and forward and back quickly is, and like no, when they call the number, doing it fast will help me like covering and moving to the ball. And then that one I would do for like 30 seconds and then off for like 5 or 10 and do it like a few times. And then I didn't really have any reps for the other ones. I haven't really figured that out yet.
Okay. Yeah, for the latter ones, I'm sure all of you have experience doing like different patterns as well. So any of those different patterns that will also help with some coordination in there too. And if you use cones, you can add in the ball. So all good things. Thank you, Ashley, for that. Perfect. Good. All right. Endurance. So the goal of endurance training is to increase your ability to play in the game for longer with higher maximal effort. I know everyone loves endurance training, and I have my favorite endurance exercises. So when we have somebody share, we'll do like 30 seconds for this one. So the main goal of this one, as I've read, is to increase your heart rate, but I want it to be more specific to an actual soccer game. So I know I keep saying this, but soccer is a stop and go game. So I want you to think about when you're working on an endurance exercise, can you have something where you get your heart rate up really, really high, almost to your max, close to 200, depending on a couple of factors, but we'll just say average of close to 200. And then you're going to rest and it's going to get back down, and you're going to see how much time it takes to get it back down to 140, 120. Okay. And then you're going to get it back up, and then you're going to get it down, and then you're going to get it back up. And what you're going to notice as you train more is that the time that it takes to get your heart rate from that maximum back down to a normal-ish state is going to get shorter. So you're going to be able to recover, and that reflects in a game is you're going to be able to make sprints, and then you're going to be ready quicker to make another sprint at that max effort. Okay, so think of exercises that kind of have that fluctuation in max heart rate and then that rest. Okay, we'll do 30 seconds. If it's something that you've already done before, that's cool. We want to hear what other teams are doing too. So go ahead. All right. Would anyone be willing to share their endurance exercises?
I can share.
Okay.
This is probably like not super reasonable, but I did like sprint, and then your rest is doing a math problem from your work, and then again, and this is 10 times. I did this for reasons. Trying to think, because high school, for my high school, sometimes you get some on your team who aren't the best or don't really be there sometimes. And game after you a big like sprinted, you still have to like me. I play 6, so I still have to like go and try and help mates and like man up or a call out. It's kind of like why I did the math problem and also get your math on. So
if you depending on how many math problems you have is how many sprints you do. Good. I like that. So you add in some of that mental component to it. Good. That's creative. Thank you, Ty. And then depending on just like the variability in a soccer game, you never know when you're going to have to make that next sprint. Depending on how long it takes you to do that math problem is kind of how much rest you get. Okay, perfect. So if yours looked something like that, where you kind of had those intervals, you can find lots of examples on this type of training if you just look up high intensity interval training or circuit training. Okay, moving on, strength, one of my favorite ones. So the goal of strength training, I'm sure as you all know, increases your ability to use your legs, your arms, and I'm going to add in your core to stabilize your body and add power to your movements. So because we're all stuck at home right now, whoops, I thought this picture was a fun representation of ideas on things we could use, since not all of us have weights or heavy weights. This lady used milk jugs. She's just holding some milk jugs to add some weight to her squats. So when you create these strength exercises, you can be creative. Okay, you can, if you're gonna do squats like that, one idea that a chiropractor once said was that you could use your cat, if you have a big cat or a big dog, to do animal squats, adding some 30 pounds, well, I guess depending on how heavy your dog weighs, to your squats. So think of a movement that reflects your position. One that I like to talk about is in the position profiles when we talked about center backs and nines, they talked about, and goalkeepers, they talked about that aerial strength. So being able to get off the ground up into the air for dives or headers. Those, a good exercise would be jump squats, single leg jump squats, double jump squats, where you get down super low, a sumo jump squat, lateral jumps, okay? Things that you're having to use that acceleration and power to get up off the ground. That would be an example for using your position profile and using strength training to achieve that goal, okay? So create 2 lower body exercises and 2 upper body exercises. Again, include how long you would do them or how many you would do, and then how it translates into your end goal, okay? We'll go, since there's 4 here, we'll go close to a minute, and then we'll have some people share. Go ahead. All right, would anyone be willing to share? Let's do, somebody shares their 2 lower body, and then we'll have someone share their 2 upper body.
For our upper body, I had doing a plank for 30 seconds while moving a weight underneath you. And then also doing 20 push-ups while doing like a jumping jack with like your feet.
Okay. And then could you share how that reflects to your position?
So like I'm a 9, so being able to like try to like shield off defenders while also trying to be like agile with your feet or like trying to get the ball with like oftentimes using your upper body.
Yeah. Good. And then Alyssa, with doing planks, that's also core. So that's a good one for stabilizing, like you said, with a 9, being able to hold defenders off. Just like with your upper body, using those shoulders and your chest to be able to hold them off, that core also helps with that stabilization. And then Ruthie said in the chat, I picked squats and band workouts for lower body. Good. So another way to utilize resistance or weights would be to add in bands. I thought I had mine sitting here, but just those exercise bands that add some resistance to your workout. So squats and bands. I love squats, jump squats, single leg squats, perfect things for lower body. Okay. Move on here. I'm checking the time. I think this is our last one. Yes. Okay. Last one here for balance and coordination. The goal of balance and coordination training is to increase your ability to stabilize your body, dribble and control the ball better, and prevent injuries. So this example here in the picture, these soccer players are standing on a foam pad, and this pad just makes the ground unstable, so they have to stabilize at the ankle, and it makes it a little more wobbly. So this is pretty difficult. They're making it look kind of easy. And then while they're stabilizing on that one leg, they're juggling with the opposite leg. So they're getting the balance on this stabilizing leg, and then they're getting the coordination on that dribbling leg. So this is a pretty creative example. You can get balance and coordination training out of other things that even we've already mentioned. Anything with the ball, doing things with the ball is already coordination. And then any sort of balance exercises, a lot of single leg exercises are balance. So any single leg squat, planks, I would argue aren't really balanced, but they go into that same category of that balance and stabilization. Okay, so come up with, it says 3 exercises, which is what I would want in an actual workout. But each person just come up with one and then explain how that type of exercise would translate into your position in a game. Okay, so we'll go about 30 seconds. And we'll have somebody share. This is our last one here. All right, does anyone have one to share? Reed, do you have any?
No, I didn't think of one. I couldn't.
Alexis, do you have any?
For the balancing ones, I was thinking just like
standing on one foot for like a minute and then doing the same thing standing on a foot and then juggling with the other foot.
Okay. And then what position do you play? And how could this translate?
I'm a 6, so I don't think the balance like stuff would like help me like my specific position, but I think it would just like help me in general with balance.
Okay. Good. And then even though it's not necessarily listed in any of the player profiles or position profiles, balance and coordination help with preventing injuries. So just like Alexis said, it can help all of us personally, even if it's not mentioned in your position profile. It's something that just overall helps performance and helps you be able to stay out on the field. So thank you. All right. So next meeting is not Thursday. It might be Thursday at 7:15. Take a look at the schedule and for any updates on when our next meeting is, but we're going to go through, next time we're going to actually go through a workout. So when you come, be ready to move. Other than that, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you had some fun creating these exercises, and thank you for stopping by. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.